Nelson Hall, Wisdom Warrior, coming to you on the summer solstice, the first day of summer, the longest day of light in the year, and I am happy to be playing my new gift to myself. It was my birthday 2 days ago, and every year I buy myself a musical instrument on my birthday. It seems to be the tradition. So I got this beautiful traditional Argentinian drum. It's called a bomba luguero, and it has a crazy beautiful sub-bass frequency. I'm really excited to share this and put it on my new album as well, Honor All Creation. And on that note, I just want to start off by saying that I was supposed to release my new album today on the summer solstice, but as things happen, I've been somewhat delayed here in Costa Rica, so the plan is to release it sometime soon, in the next month, hopefully, and it's not something I want to rush. It's going to be well worth the wait. This album is going to be very epic in length, and so many beautiful songs, anthems for kind of a new direction for humanity, a lot of eco-spiritual wisdom and songs to the goddess and the earth. And I'm actually going to be also launching it as a 360-degree full album experience through an online portal where every song will be explained through sacred storytelling, and there'll be invitations to meditation and ritual and cross-pollination with some of my other writings and music. So I will keep you in the loop about all of that. So I am still in Costa Rica. I have decided pretty much to make this my permanent home. I just got myself a beautiful jungle car, green color, and I feel very set to start puttering around here and looking for land and start really putting feet on the ground to develop a dream I've had for probably the last decade of my life, as I've been on this incredible odyssey learning about the European indigenous peoples, trying to discover what were the ancient people really all about. An odyssey that I was sparked upon through a Mohawk elder that I was training to be a spiritual warrior with. And it's been a beautiful, beautiful journey of self-exploration and learning some of the deepest truths I've ever learned about humanity and our planet. And I've had a dream for a long time to develop a kind of mystery school, a eco-spiritual education center where we can really bring this ancient wisdom forward and start to really get all beings to realize that we all have indigenous heritage somewhere way back in our ancestral lines, to be people of the earth, to be children of the earth. And I feel more than ever that this meta narrative of really fighting in unity to really reharmonize our relationship with the earth is the most important thing that we have before us as a species. And within that movement, there's also the need to put indigenous peoples who have still kept their wisdoms alive in the face of harrowing colonialism, to put them in positions of being heard. Their voices need to be heard. Indigenous peoples are, in my mind, the most brilliant geniuses on the planet. They have understanding about the metaphysical, the superphysical realms of this planet that is so deeply important for us to revalue our sense of the planet and ourselves. And it's very dire right now. We are in the time of earth changes. The things that we're seeing in the world with the coronavirus, there's going to be much more things coming through the pipeline. That is a certainty. And all of these things are initiations that are trying to orchestrate our awareness into greater expansion so that we can really, really understand, all of us, all of humanity, that we are a brilliant, beautiful species, and we need to come together to figure out how to fix this maladaptation that's been created for thousands of years, where we've separated ourselves from the natural ecology of the planet, which has created dire consequences, and we are still hanging on the precipice, truly, of surviving. before coronavirus hit, there was a lot of really doomy, gloomy stuff coming forward with stats and just evidence of how chaotic the ecosystems of the planet have been pushed due to not only the human factor is very important, we need to take responsibility for that, but there is also factors of cosmic and galactic changes that are happening, and we need to be aware of those, and indigenous people such as the Maya are very aware of that. And if we would give the indigenous peoples voices, we're going to be much more better suited to move in the rhythms of nature, and nature that is also earthly and cosmic. And that's vitally, vitally important right now. I would say the biggest news story of this year, is we're really at the halfway point right now, it's not necessarily the coronavirus, it's not necessarily the racial conflicts that are happening all over the planet now, or the awareness, rather, of racism that's very endemic and systemic in a lot of our civilizations. No, I would say the biggest story is that while we locked down during coronavirus, which I still am very suspicious about, as more evidence comes forward showing that there's a lot of deception that's been taking place with the monolithic health organizations in collusion with the governments. But that being said, I think, and this was perhaps an indirect consequence of locking down as we did so much as a species during this pandemic, is that the Earth has incredibly regenerated. And this is evidence that the Earth, when left to her own devices, when we step back and are giving her space to really breathe, to really come back into her own homeostasis, she does, and does so quite rapidly and quite brilliantly. This should be blazed in every media outlet all over the world. The incredible regeneration of the atmosphere, the amount of environmental phenomena like blue skies in Beijing, the animals that are returning to habitats. If we were a sane species, which we are not, this would be the biggest news story of the year. It would be evidence that this environmental crisis that has gripped us for many years now, evidence that there is a way to reverse it. And it requires us taking the responsibility of being aware that the Earth needs us to do momentous things, such as shutting down and radically changing the way we live on this planet, so that we can observe her with loving curiosity and try and get a sense of how we can do things or not do things that will help her heal. This is a very Taoist philosophical way of doing things. Wu Wei is the precept of Taoism, which means not doing. And this is, to me, one of the most brilliant understandings of our indigenous Asian ancestors. They realized that nature does so much on its own. And when we allow ourselves, even in a personal level, to heal by relaxing and resting and not doing so much, the body, which is nature, automatically starts to heal. This is salvation, people. This is something that should be at the forefront of every education center. We should be aware of the beauty and the power of nature. And this very much dovetails with a lot of the things that I'm doing right now here in Costa Rica. So not only am I working on this album, Honor All Creation, which is going to be through the power of music and lyricism and expression of some of these ideas I'm talking about right now, but I'm also writing a book called Earth Night, which is a spiritual novel about, sort of loosely based on my life story, but it's very much about coming into an awareness that the divine is also feminine. And for tens of thousands of years, we now know there were civilizations that honored the goddess. And it's only been the last 2,000 years with this insanity of patriarchy that the goddess has been relegated and exiled out of our perception. And this is very important that she comes back. And this is also not just some fanciful, human, egotistical, spiritual idea. This is based on a lot of evidence of our ancient ancestors who really said that the planet Earth is a living goddess, and our mother as well, who created the human beings in a cosmic habitat called the Pleroma, which is the center of our galaxy, that beautiful white dot. This is what was discovered in the Nag Hammadi library, which I've talked about in depth if you look at some of my other videos about the story of Sophia, the ancient wisdom goddess. You will find it all there. This is very important. This is a universal mythological story that needs to come forward, and in my book, that's one of the humble endeavors I'm trying to do. And then the idea is to create a center down here, a kind of Gaia center, where we can start to educate people into connection with the earth and develop an eco-spiritual worldview, which hopefully will begin to be adopted by governments all over the world. This is vitally, vitally important moving forward. As we move out of the pandemic anxiety right now and things are starting to open up, we should realize that we don't want to go back to the way things are. Not for necessarily the coronavirus, which has proven to be not as harmful a situation as we formerly thought, but we need to be aware about how the earth has been regenerating, and we should be changing and keeping changes happen, doing less air travel, having more time to rest ourselves and relax so we're not polluting the earth as much. There are huge enlightening moments that I think have happened for everyone in just witnessing this. And if you haven't really witnessed the regeneration of the earth, please Google and research it now. I'll try and share some links with you. If you follow me on Instagram at Darren Druid or on Facebook, I write about this all the time, and I'll be soon launching more article-style writings on Medium, which is a blog site online, to share more of these ideas, because it's really important that we realize that as much as we need to dismantle all kinds of supremacy things, like people are talking a lot about white supremacy, I would say the biggest problem is human supremacy, and we've had a huge issue for a very, very, very long time, propped up largely by very distorted religions that have positioned human beings as being the supreme life form on this planet. This, in my mind, and I know a lot of other indigenous peoples, is the root of all the evil on the planet. It has caused us to really abort ourselves from the interdependent ecosystem and realizing that we are in a state of cooperation with all these other life forms that are equally magnificent as us. We have a uniqueness, a beautiful uniqueness that needs to be honored as well, but we need to realize that the idea of human supremacy is very endemic in all of our civilizations, and we need to diminish that grandiosity. It is an insanity. And it's an insanity that has been implanted through mind viruses, through non-human entities. This is something that I've written about and talked about as well, the archons, these ancient ideas that were discovered in the Nag Hammadi, and pretty much any indigenous or shamanic practitioner will tell you that a lot of the adversary scenarios that we're facing on this planet don't necessarily have to do with humans themselves. And this is not to shirk responsibility. If anything, it makes it more of a responsibility for us to have true sovereignty over our minds, so that we don't get possessed by nefarious entities and get really taken off our path. And if you look on my Wisdom Warrior talks on YouTube, the other channels, you'll see where I go into much more depth about the archons. Our light is shining so bright right now, and I'm very, very hopeful that we're going to be continually initiated into the great powers that have been dormant in our species for far too long. I send all of you so much glory and love on this summer solstice. I wish you all beautiful tidings, beautiful blessings. If you want some more musical inspiration, please go onto my SoundCloud channel and listen to the title track of my new album, Honor All Creation. I'm sure it will get you going. Goddess is great. Be glorious.